Hi everyone, it's Nicole from Mama Elephant with a designer series card featuring the Carried Away stamps and dies and the Rainbow High Creative Cuts dies, and I've combined them to create this high-flying birthday themed card. To start, I kind of laid out all of my elements that I wanted to use so I had an idea of what was going to fit on my design, and then I went ahead and die cut the rainbow from the Rainbow High Creative Cuts die collection from some smooth white cardstock. This is going to give me a much different look when I apply the distress inks to the smooth white cardstock as opposed to when I apply it to watercolor cardstock, which you may have seen in one of my previous cards, plus it'll be linked at the end of this video. So if you want to see just how different it looks on different types of paper. On the watercolor paper, I knew I was going to be doing some distressing. On this smooth white cardstock, this is just basically applying the ink to the paper directly. There's not going to be any sort of distressing. This is just adding color to each layer of the rainbow. I am using Festive Berries was my red, and then Spiced Marmalade was the orange. This yellow here is the Squeezed Lemonade. My green is going to be Twisted Citron. I tried to go for very bright, kind of basic rainbow type colors here for my card. I knew I was going to be adding a little distress inked background to this design as well. So I wanted something that was going to be really bright and really pop off of the design. My blue layer is going to be the Peacock Feathers Distress ink. You can kind of see up in the upper left corner of the screen how the rainbow's coming together. Then my last layer, I'm not going to be using all of the layers of the rainbow. I'm just going to go ahead and discard that last piece. But my final layer for my card is going to be in Milled Lavender Distress ink. Next, I'm taking the A2 sized stitched rectangle panel from the Pikaframes Creative Cuts die collection, and I'm going to die cut a solid panel, and then I just used a scrap of paper for the rest. From that scrap, I'm taking the Cloud Landscape Trio border die, and I'm going to die cut a cloudy border for the bottom of my card. On that background panel, I'm going to take Tumbled Glass Distress ink and apply my ink to that smooth white cardstock. Again, I am not doing any watertight techniques or anything like that. I am simply applying the distress ink to the paper itself. It's a little bit different, a little less forgiving than watercolor paper I have found personally. So you might want to try using a very light hand or practicing a little bit on some scrap paper first if that scares you a little bit. I did not cover the entire panel. I just did kind of where that cloud border is going to meet the sky and then kind of up towards the top, but not all the way. Next, I'm just going to quickly lay out my elements again, all my stamps, and make sure everything is going to fit really well. I'm going to go ahead and pick up my greeting from the Carried Away stamp set, ink it up with some intense black ink. I'm going to stamp it off on a scrap piece of paper first because I haven't ever inked this before, and then I'll stamp it on my cloud panel. Now in the finished design, you may notice that the placement of that is a little bit different. That is because as I got to designing, I realized it was a little too low. I wanted it a little higher, so I did die cut another cloudy panel there and stamp the greeting again. I am stamping my balloon string, and the little boy and rabbit images from Carried Away on some Bristol Smooth watercolor cardstock. And this is my preferred medium for coloring with the Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. This intense black ink is going to work great. It's waterproof, so it's not going to bleed with these Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I'm going to go ahead and set my background aside, pull out my Zig markers, and start watercoloring. The colors I am using are shown across the bottom of the screen. I only use about 2 colors or 2 shades per color, I guess I should say. So for my balloon, and you may have noticed this if you saw my other card featuring this stamp set where I did kind of pinks and did a pink balloon. I'm going in a circle with my darkest color along the right and then pulling it out and getting lighter as I get to the center. This is just going to give me that great gradation of color from dark to light for the balloon, and I think the finished result is so nice. I'm going to go out here to my darkest edge and pick up a little bit more of that dark to pull out, and then just kind of go in a circle to blend it all out. Because this card is definitely themed more for a boy, I chose to do a blue balloon, and then I'm going to color in his outfit with shades of red, blue, and gray, just to kind of pull out some of those colors from the rainbow again. I'm using a little dark gray for his shoes and the buttons on his jacket. And I added a little pink to the cheeks. I think that adds a lot of nice color to the skin tones on these images. The pants are going to be blue. I'm going to go in with my dark gray, that same color I used for the shoes, and then pull it out with my lighter gray color for that nice kind of light gray, and add some red to the cuffs and pockets of his jacket. The bunny's going to be really simple, a little pink for the cheeks, light gray. I'm going to pull in a little dark gray to give him a little bit more color, but that is it. I'll go ahead and once that ink is completely dry, take the coordinating carried away dies, place those right over the images. I'm using a little Post-it tape to hold them in place. I also had to snip apart a couple more of these dies that I had not used yet with my metal snips scissors. Once these are all taped down, I can die cut all 4 images with one pass of my machine. I like to use the Post-it tape so that I don't have to worry about the dies shifting as I run them through the machine and maybe accidentally messing up something that I spent so much time coloring. So sandwich those in my Sizzix Big Shot, run those through, and then I can pop them out. And now comes the fun part where you can start putting together the card. I have a few more clouds here from the Rainbow High Creative Cuts die collection that I die cut from smooth white cardstock that I'm going to be implementing into my card to kind of cover up the other end of the rainbow, and then to kind of maybe hide the balloon behind a little bit, just to help with that whole illusion of clouds in the sky. Before I attach anything, I do like to kind of move everything around, make sure I like the placement before I commit with my adhesive. On not only that bottom cloud border, but the clouds themselves, I am going to take a little tumbled glass distress ink, and I'm not even going to pick up any more ink with my ink pad, just the ink that's still on my tool. I'm going to lightly add a little bit of blue ink to the bottom of all 4 of those pieces. That little tiny heart that die cut from the one cloud, I did add Festive Berries Distress ink to that as well. Next, I attached my landscape trio border along the bottom. I put adhesive on the entire back thing, and I'm going to use just a tool on my desk. This is the Quick Stick tool to hold that up for a minute because I need to tuck my rainbow underneath underneath that border. Then I'm going to apply each layer of my rainbow, nest those together as close as possible. And then I'm going to cover up that other end with a cloud die cut. Anything hanging off the edge, I am going to trim off when I'm completely done because there is going to be something hanging off the edge of 3 sides of this panel. I think it helps kind of ground the whole scene rather than putting everything in the middle and they just kind of float around, if that makes sense. So by hanging off the sides, it does help ground the scene and really kind of gives it a more complete and finished look. I attached the clouds overhanging my balloon, the balloon string, that cute little boy, and then the bunny hanging from his hand. I'm going to take a little bit of liquid adhesive, pick up that little teeny tiny heart with my Quick Stick tool, and place that right inside of the heart, and that's going to give a nice little pop of color not only to the heart but the balloon as well. And then I'll trim off all of those excess pieces hanging over the sides. And finally, I'm going to finish my card with a sprinkling of Pretty Pink Posh colorful sequins and confetti. So my sequins are all going to be kind of in rainbow type colors. I think I've got some tangerine and shamrock and cobalt, lemon meringue sequins. And then the little teeny tiny star confetti, which I just absolutely love, is in gold. So it adds a nice little kind of metallic pop to the whole design. And I just love the scattering of sequins and confetti like that to finish off a card like this. I'll add some black glaze detail to the eyes on the images to finish everything off. Attach this panel to a top fold white card base. And that is going to complete this really great boy-themed birthday card featuring the Mama Elephant Carried Away stamps and dies and Rainbow High Creative Cuts die collection. Thanks for joining me today for this designer series project featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies. The supplies I've used are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring these same products as well as a few more that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.